today is a good day, and I'm just so happy to be here with y'all. I'm also really happy to talk about this topic because the podcast launch is actually exactly why I wanted to talk about this topic. And certainly I've been passionate about this topic for a while, but this has made me think about that even more, especially even just with the little bit of feedback I've gotten already, which is this idea of like, if someone would just tell me what to do, I'd do it. Like, I'm sure we have all said that. I've certainly said that, not only in business, but in plenty of other areas of my life too. Like, right? Like, can I get an emoji, whether you're listening now or watching the replay? If you have totally been someone who has said, if someone would just tell me what to do, I would do it. If someone would just tell me what to do, I would do it. Like, hello. Exactly. So why I'm so passionate about this is because on the podcast, like, this is such an example of what you're going to see. Like, I'll absolutely share what Monica should do, and we'll routinely talk about like the strategies and the next steps. But what I think you'll see and what you'll find in the podcast is that that's truly not at all the biggest part of our conversations. That's often like one of the smallest, in fact. Like, there are a couple of things that are so much more important than that. And the first is that what's crucial is finding your own way to do things, right? So the thing that's wrong with oh my God, sorry. I tried to read the title and then I lost it. But the thing that's wrong with, if someone would just tell me what to do, I would do it, is that their way is not your way. Now, I think some of the containers for the strategy might be your way. And certainly, again, you'll hear me share a lot of that with Monica, but it's not entirely my way. It has to be hers. It has to be with her thought leadership, her expertise, her strengths, her gifts, all of that, right? And so that's one of the first problems. Hey, Betsy, right, we've all been there. If someone would just tell me what to do, I would do it. Thank you for raising your hand. I appreciate you. Right, but like, what you're gonna hear is us figuring out what's your way. So the biggest, that's the first part of the conversation, right? Like, how do we make this yours? How do we make this your way? For me to just be like, these are the 5 ways I built my business, like, some of them may apply, some of them may not, right? But the biggest part of the conversation is always, how do we get out of our own way enough to do it? Now, it doesn't mean that I don't give her strategies that work, that can apply to her business, her message, her strengths, right? But so often we think that knowing the plan will change everything. If I just know, right? That will change it all. But like, that is not how business works. And I just like want to say that again and again and again. That is not how business works. Like, someone in my mastermind this morning asked me kind of like, if I just do these steps, like, will I feel certain that my business is going to work? No. Like, the reason I feel certain my business is going to work is I feel certain that I'll keep showing up and I trust myself to show up. I don't feel certain my business is going to work because I know certain steps, right? And it's the same with any plan. Like, the plan is inherently not the thing, although it's part of the thing, right? But trusting yourself to show up for the plan and continue to get out of your own way enough to execute on the plan is the game changer, right? Maggie says, happy podcast launch day. And yes, one of the things that was so important to me was finding my way. Thank you for helping me do that. Oh, you're so, so welcome. It's so true. Okay, but anyway, so I think that this idea of like, if I just knew the plan, what we're leaving out after that is like, are you sure that you're going to execute to the plan? Number one. And number two, there is a large possibility that the plan is going to change because that's business, right? Again, I was talking to my mastermind about this morning, and I was saying to them, like, does anybody remember Periscope? Like, you could have a beautifully, perfectly laid out plan for the next 6 months of Periscope, and that shit shut down. Like, the plan is not always the thing, but figuring out a way to be adaptable, to do it your way, and to keep getting out of your own way enough to show up is the thing. And so it's not to say, like, you can't have a plan. It's just to, like, really take away I think that there's such a belief in this online space that, like, if someone just told me what to do, I would do it. And so that's why courses are so popular. But courses have a single-digit completion rate in our industry, you guys. Like, we have to stop pretending that more information or another plan is the solution to this. Like, it's asinine to me that we keep acting like, Well, if somebody wanted it bad enough, they would just show up and do it. Like, I can't, right? Now, listen, part of it is you have to make a decision. You have to want it bad enough to do the hard shit, but that's the ticket, to do the hard shit, to get out of your own way, right? The plan doesn't get you out of your own way. It doesn't get you stretching your comfort zone. Do you know what I mean? Like, think about big companies. Do you think if all of these big companies just knew that their next 3 steps were X, Y, and Z, that they'd have entire departments and like millions of dollars allocated to research? Not to mention, and still fuck it up sometimes? Of course not. Here's another one. Do you think that the course completion rates would be higher than single digits if you really just needed the plan? Of course they would, right? We need to start expanding our conversations in this industry. We need to start expanding how we truly believe shit gets done and things happen. Does that make sense? If you're listening, can you tell me if this makes sense? Because I feel very passionately about this topic. And I want to give you some actionable takeaways. So don't worry, stick around for that. But I want to make sure you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. The plan isn't the problem. The problem is that we get so single-minded in this space and give all the, like, put all our eggs in that basket. Like, if I just found the right plan, then it would feel easy. Then it wouldn't be hard. Then I wouldn't have to stretch myself to show up. Then, right? Monica says, yes, makes complete sense. She knows because we've had this conversation. But it's just so true. Like, and I'm not trying to like hate on courses necessarily. I think there's totally a time and a place. But I will say that, like, we have to stop acting like that's the end-all be-all solution, if that makes sense, right? Like, if you just take this course and have a plan, then it'll all work out. And if you take the course and it doesn't work for you, then there's something wrong with you. That is my biggest issue. Then there's something wrong with you, because I think so many people come into this industry, and I think so many people invest a lot of money in the plan, the course, and then are baffled at why they can't fully show up for it, and then end up feeling super shitty, completely eroding their self-trust, getting out of the industry altogether, so on and so forth, right? Or they end up spending thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands on the new plan, for a couple reasons. One, because that would be fucking great, right? I totally did this, you guys. Like, I can give you so many examples of this in other areas of my life. Like, I think about this with health and fitness a lot, and I'm sure I've used this in plenty of examples before, right? But like, I had chased so many different plans, right? And what was true about what I said earlier was true then. I had to make it work for me. I had to do the mindset work to get out of my own way enough to commit to it and to surrender. And like, that's kind of a whole other story. Like, I feel like when I finally like surrendered wanting that result so bad, the result came, to be completely honest, which is a whole nother thing. But the point was, I had to figure out what worked for me, and I had to do the mindset work to get out of my own way, whether that was to show up and do the work to surrender or a little bit of both, right? But like, can we just all be really honest? Like, how long has a plan ever really worked for you? How long has that been the sole answer, right? And so I get so bummed when people are like, well, if someone just told me what to do, I would do it, because I'm like, oh, don't do that to yourself, because what you're doing is setting yourself up for a lot of disappointment. Disappointment in whatever you purchase, whatever plan you purchase, and disappointment in yourself when you don't fully follow it. And BT dubs, if you're an entrepreneur, most likely you have a thing for freedom. And so then the idea of following this super strict structured plan, no matter how much you think you like structure, usually feels pretty fucking shitty. Can anybody agree with me on that? Like, you might be a type A high achiever, whatever, but you like that freedom. You don't want to fit into a box, or you wouldn't be doing this entrepreneur thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't be trying for this. And so then you go try to fit yourself into someone else's box. It doesn't work, and you're frustrated as fuck. Hello, it's because the system is not set up for your success when we keep living in this, if someone just told me what to do, I'd do it mentality, right? I feel very fired up about this today. I'm going to try to calm my ass down. But the point is, or maybe I won't try to calm down. Maybe we'll just roll with it. But the point is, that is why I'm so fucking passionate about this podcast too, because I want you guys to see that, like, Monica and I spend a portion of the time talking about strategy, a portion of the time diving into what the plan is. But mostly we're talking about how to get out of your own way enough, how to think about things differently, how to step into doing it your way, because that's the difference maker. And I think another way to think about this too, somebody said this to me one time a long time ago, I can't remember who it was, and I always have really stuck with this and resonated by this, but it's like, unless you're building a franchise, that whole I'll tell you exactly how to do it and you can steal all my like copy and branding and like whatever, do it how I did it, follow my 20 steps. That only works if you're like franchising a business. Like we're saying, I'm trying to create my own business and it's going to be totally unique and I want it to be just about me, but I want someone to tell me the exact steps and I want to make sure that I can follow them perfectly. None of this makes sense, you guys. None of it. We are setting ourselves up, and we're setting this industry up, in my opinion, for so many people just losing so much trust in themselves and really like giving up on their dreams. I mean, I feel like I'm being so dramatic when I say that, but it's so true. I've seen so many people come into this space because they had this passion on their heart, right? Invest so much in courses, not follow the course because of all the things I just illustrated that were wrong with that, and then leave and think, well, this passion was not meant for me. No, you're not set up for success because fundamentally it's really hard to get out of our own way, right? Betsy says this all makes so much sense intellectually, but behaviorally I'm sweating. Okay, we'll talk about that, Betsy. April says, thank you for being real with us about the entrepreneur path and the challenges of building it from the ground. You are so welcome, my dear. Thank you. So let's talk about it from a behavioral standpoint, because I get what Betsy's saying. Like, you're like, okay, I'm with you, I'm with you, I'm with you. Now what, right? I'm with you, I'm with you, I'm with you. Now what? And here's what I think it is. The best coaches, the best mentors are helping you design a strategy that fits you and then helping you get out of your own way enough to execute on that. You can also help yourself do this, right? But what that looks like is watching your thoughts, not overthinking everything, not wanting to change the plan every other day, not making up stories about things in your head, not seeing things through. Like, it looks like fundamentally changing your thoughts first and your behavior second to match this. Where the reason it's comfortable to chase the plan is because we think that's what will make us feel safe. Can I get an amen? That is what every time I've wanted the plan is I thought it would make me feel safe and certain and secure. If I would just get the diet plan, then I'd feel safe and certain and secure around food. And what I found is that every time I got a plan and didn't follow it, it made me feel less safe, less certain, and less secure around food. And business is exactly the same. If I just had the plan, I would feel safe, certain, and secure, and then I could chill in my business. Every time you've gotten the plan and didn't follow it, you felt less safe, less certain, and less secure. So what's the answer to that? Getting safe, certain, and secure within yourself. Building up that trust muscle in yourself. Finding that foundation within yourself, right? And that takes some fucking work. So that's what I want to be clear about too. Like, this is the hard work. Like, that's what you're going to hear in this podcast with Monica. Like, this is the hard work. We recorded, hold on, let me count this. We recorded session 7 last week. Is that right? Yeah, today's Monday. Okay, so it just takes my brain a minute, y'all. Barb says amen. Tara says amen. Thank you, guys. I so appreciate that. So Monica and I recorded her 7th session, her 7th coaching session last week. And what I think that you'll see is, like, she is diving into the hard stuff. Like, I am just like in awe and gratitude of her for sharing this with you. But like, last week was a week. Like, we dove into some mindset shit, y'all. And I feel like I'm totally teasing you because that's like 6 weeks away or something, 7 weeks away for y'all at this point. But, and certainly before that, don't worry. It's not like it doesn't get good. That session is just fresh in my mind. But like, this is what I want to illustrate so deeply on the podcast is that when I say like, trust yourself, figure out your own way, like all that, I am by no means saying that is easy. Again, you will see in the podcast that that is the tough shit. That is where the rubber meets the road. But what you'll also see in the podcast is that's where the best and biggest results happen. That's where the breakthroughs happen. So my call to you is spend more time watching your thoughts than you do looking for the new plan. Spend more time building that trust muscle with yourself than you do trusting other people to tell you how to do it. Now, I am such an advocate that this does not mean you don't need a coach or mentor by any means, and I'm not even saying you don't need a course necessarily. What I'm saying is you have to find someone that's going to help you blend both, and you have to find someone that supports you in that. Like, that's truly, truly supports you in doing it your own way, in getting out of your own way and creating a plan, but then holding you accountable to that plan instead of running with you to change the plan every 5 seconds, right? And that really, like, I just can't say it enough, but that really helps you get out of your own way enough to stick to it. Because I just truly cannot think of very many circumstances in which someone created a lot of success and what they're saying is like, well, yeah, someone just gave me 5 steps and I did it. Like, again, intellectually, I know this is easier to get, but like, how fucking crazy is that to think about, you guys? Nobody that we're looking up to is going, yeah, I mean, I just, like, someone just told me the 5 steps and I did it. But we're expecting that that's how we're going to get success. We're expecting that's how we're going to get there, yet nobody we're looking up to is saying that. Everyone we're looking up to is going, well, I tested and I tweaked and I failed a lot and I did this and I did that and then I got there and I did all this work and I got out of my own way and I changed the fucking way I was showing up. I changed the way I was thinking. I changed my behavior. That's what they're saying. You know what I mean? And so it's like we're just stuck in this system that doesn't make sense. You know, we're stuck in this system where like everyone we're looking up to is going, I found my own way and now I'll teach it to you. But the way they got there is they found their own fucking way. Like it's mind-blowing if you spend any time at all thinking about this. So I won't go off on a tangent forever and ever, but I just want this to like start to sink in where it's like, I'm sitting in the middle of a broken system where, and I'm not saying everything in the coaching industry is broken by any means, but I think a lot of the marketing is. So I'm sitting in the middle of a broken system where everything tells me if I just knew this one thing, everything would be better. And so I keep trying to find the next plan, the next thing. If somebody would just tell me, if somebody would just tell me, if somebody would just tell me. But let's be real, the way you're going to run a 6 or 7 figure business is not that, right? It's going to be having somebody that has some strategic actions and steps and an outside view and has worked with a lot of people in that area before, help you apply it to you and then help you get out of your own way enough. And again, like that is what we're trying to illustrate on the podcast. Not, here's a podcast where you listen to 18 sessions of me just telling Monica, okay, go do these 5 things. Cool, go do these 5 things. Cool, here are your next 5 things. Like, no, right? Betsy says, yes, safety and security is the goal. And this is something we talk about on the podcast as well. Monica and I talked about, which is like, we think the client will make us feel safe and secure, but it's not true. What's going to make us feel safe and secure is knowing how we got the client and knowing how to replicate it. And what has to happen for that is we have to like find our own way and test it and tweak it until we're like, cool, this is how I get clients and now I feel safe and secure. The client doesn't make me feel that way. Does that make sense? Maggie says, yes, when I help women with their marriages, they could have similar issues, but the way we deal with it is slightly different for each one. Same for my leadership development clients. What they're actually doing varies. I like to explain it in this way. There are principles and there are tactics. Blindly copying tactics without our own sovereignty and principles does not work. I'm totally picking up what you're putting down. Thank you, Maggie. That's a perfect way to say it. I love that. Katie says, yes, exercising trust in yourself is so important. Couldn't agree more. Tara said, oh my God, just thinking about this today. Amazing. Same page. I love that. So what I really want you to think about is, how can I start to lean into this? How can I start to find and design a strategy that fits me? How can I make it applicable to me? How can I do that mindset work enough to execute to that plan instead of changing it all the time, right? So one thing that I'll tell you about my story that's true is that I feel like most of what I'm doing now is very similar to what I did when I started this business. I have just found more ways to make it mine, and I keep getting out of my way more and more. Does that make sense? So like, I was doing video when I started this business, but now I have found more of a way to show you guys my personality and make it mine and showcase my skills more and more, but like, I'm still doing the same thing. Same with the group. This group is how I built my business. I'm still doing the same thing. My strategy hasn't changed all that much, but I've made it more and more and more my own. And I've found more and more ways to get out of my own way enough to show up more. Does that make sense? So ultimately, like, what created the first 100K in my business is exactly what created the 400K last year, right? But how did I go from 100 to 400? Well, I just kept working on the same strategy, making it more and more personalized to me, getting more and more out of my way and showing up in an even bigger way, right? But what would have fucked me, to be clear, would be to be like, well, this strategy got me to 100K, so now I have to change everything to get to 400. No, right? This plan got me to 100, so now I have to burn the plan down to get to 400. Or like, who's the person that's gotten to 400 and how can they give me their plan? Again, no. More like, who's the person that's gotten to 400 and how do I start getting support from them so I can continue to get out of my own way enough to get there potentially, right? Or how do I commit to my mindset work every day to get there? How do I commit to going even deeper with myself and even deeper into what's working and what's not working, right? And the reason I say that is to illustrate the fact that like, we get so fucking wrapped around the axle of strategy, and the strategy is quite honestly the least complicated part of my business. Far and above, that's the least complicated part. It's like launching this podcast, right? The strategy was so goddamn simple. We record podcast episodes, we create a launch team, we make a landing page for the launch team, we put the podcast episodes on iTunes, and we share promotional posts so people go listen to the podcast. That took me like 3 minutes. I'm sure when Megan and I talked about it, it maybe took us 20 minutes to fully plan out. But now here's the kicker. The amount of mindset work I had to do to get the fuck out of my own way enough to produce this podcast, to feel brave enough to produce it, to believe in myself enough, to not care about scrutiny enough, to want to promote it everywhere, to not hide, to not put it out there and then not share it, to boldly proclaim that there is no other podcast on the fucking planet like this. That's the work, you guys. That's the work, right? To make it my own, i.e. to not do a podcast the way everyone else is doing it, to make the launch team feel really, really special in the way that I would make them feel special, right? Like, again, personalization and getting out of your own way, that's the thing. The strategy is literally the easiest part of my business, you guys. And I want to reinforce that because I think we all think that that's the complicated part. We all think, well, that's the part I must not know enough about because things feel hard for me. No shit, me too, right? Like, and I don't mean hard in the sense that like, it's so hard to launch a podcast, but I will say like, it takes a lot of emotional energy and a lot of self-management and a lot of mindset work to launch something brand new and show up and promote it like that and tell you that it's the best thing since sliced bread and tell you that there's nothing else out there like that. That's not all that easy, right? It's just not. But again, like if I was like, well, if somebody would just tell me what to do, you know, to launch my podcast, it would be fine. No fucking wouldn't. I would still bump up against all the same shit. And they would tell me the thing I already figured out in 3 minutes. Record the podcast, create some promotional posts, create a launch team, share it. Duh, you know? Amy says, keep working what's gotten you where you're at, but up it. But pump it up. Yes. Yeah. I was like, your autocorrect did something there, but yes, I get it, but pump it up, right? And again, I really don't want to like completely downplay strategy, because I know that it's important, and I know it matters, and I know that it really helps to have a coach to talk through some of that with. Certainly, I help my clients plan out their podcast launches and their launches in general and all of that. Like, I really don't mean to make it seem like that's completely unimportant, because I truly don't believe it is, right? But I really, really want to illustrate that that's such a small part of it, and that it's really not the most important part. And frankly, like, that part won't get you the results. Like, I could tell you steps 1 through 35 of how I launched this podcast, and you would have an entirely different result and experience than me, even if you did it that way, right? And so that's the point here. Pump it up. Yes. Thank you, Amy. Savia says, also just telling me what to do is not how you empower me. 100%. Like, if all my clients got to 6 figures because I just told them exactly what to do, and then they decided to stop working with me, or, whatever, like they moved on in their business, like, and then they were like, oh my God, now I don't have someone telling me what to do, and I can't replicate this. How empowering is that? Like, that's the last thing I want. Now, I will say most of my clients work with me several times, but it's not because I'll promise you, nobody is hiring me more than once going, well, I just want you to keep telling me what to do. Like, that's hysterical to me to even think about, because it's just not what they need, nor would it ever be their experience. So I just want to really underscore for you, if you keep feeling like I just need a plan and then I should be able to do it, give yourself permission to get more support than that. Give yourself permission to know that it actually is much harder than that. Because truly, if it was that simple, everyone would have the perfect body and the perfect business and the perfect relationship. And it's just not that simple, and we have to stop acting like it is, so that we can stop beating ourselves up and get to fucking work building our dream businesses. You know what I mean? Like, let's stop pretending that that's true. Give ourselves some love and permission, roll up our sleeves, and get to work building the business that you actually want. Does that make sense? Like, I just hope this gives you a lot of freedom and permission. I'm sure it will also give you sweaty hands and a little anxiety, because you're like, well, now what? And here's what I would say now what is. Look at what's working and what's not in your business. And then also start working your mindset. If you don't know how to do that, get a coach that's going to help you with the mindset, the strategy, and the execution. And obviously I know that's my framework, but I can't not say it because it's true. It's what I believe in. And I think if anyone's not helping you with all 3 of those parts, you're missing a piece. It's just like, I so believe in mindset, and I think it's like 90% of the game. But if you're not also getting some strategic support, that's going to be hard too. Does that make sense? So it's like the combination is the case I want to make. And again, the combination is what you'll see in the podcast, right? Amy says, amen, no time for that. It's time to build long-term sustainable businesses. I hear that. So I hope this was helpful. I really, really hope that you guys listen to the podcast and start to see that in action, and start to give yourselves permission that, like, if you've gotten the plan and haven't shown up for it, you're not broken, you're not wrong, you're not fucked up, you're not supposed to close down your business. The system is just not helping you in the way it needs to. And this is not to like take your responsibility out of this, though I do think that sometimes we get programmed in the online space. This is to say it's time to take your responsibility back. That's what it's to say, right? And really start leaning into the fact that you can trust yourself. You know what I really think this is a lot like? One of my clients is basically an intuitive eating specialist. Like, she's an RD, and she's really, really, really knowledgeable in intuitive eating. Her name's Emma Smith, if you guys don't know her, but she's phenomenal. And she talks about this with diets. Like, The diet industry is broken, and it's not your fault that it's not working for you, but you have to take back your power and start healing around that and start stepping into your power and making your own personal choices with food and. So it reminds me so much of intuitive eating, kind of what I'm preaching here. Because in the fitness industry and the health industry that she's in, it is this mentality. If someone just told me what to do, I'd do it. If someone just gave me the meal plan where I eat broccoli and carrots all day and, maybe rice twice a week, whatever, I'm just making shit up, I don't know, then I would do it. Well, that is maybe true for like a very, very, very small amount of time. But long term, that's completely not true for most people. And so what she really preaches is like healing that relationship. And I think that's true here. Like we have to heal our relationship with business. And again, one thing she talks about is like, it's not your fault that the diet hasn't worked, and it's not your fault that this industry is broken. And that's how you feel here. But also, it is your responsibility to take your power back and change it, and to go again, roll up your fucking sleeves and do this thing, be the CEO, build this business, right? Because another plan doesn't get you to 7 figures. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. So, okay, I have several things I want to share with you guys. Number one thing, please listen to the podcast. Please leave a review. Please join our launch team. I mean, I just could not be more passionate about this. And I want to figure out a way to say this nicely, but since in place of having one right now, I'm just going to say it really bluntly, which is like, my business is doing super well, which is great. But like, I'm sincerely not launching this podcast because I'm like, oh, it'll get me a bunch of clients. Like, it's not a thing, right? Though I'm sure it will, and I appreciate that, and I love my clients, and I don't want to make light of that. But what I mean to say is like, I'm truly doing this because this conversation I'm so passionate about it. I am so on fire about this, and I just truly want to be a different voice in this industry. I truly want to have a different experience, and here's an even better way to say it. I truly want you to see that like, this is how you can create success. Right? Like so many of my clients have been so successful. And that's another thing I want to share. I'm going to share with you about one of my other clients recently, but like, if you guys read the last client files, right? Like I think the last one was about how one of my clients created $1 million business in 9 months. The one before that was my client who was making $20K, as a health and fitness coach. The one before that was a client who came to me making 10 and wanting to go to 30 and got there really quickly, right? Like, my clients get results, and this is why they're getting results. And I want to start having that conversation, is that there is a way to get better results. There is a way to have higher completion rates than single digits. There is a way to truly support your clients. Can I guarantee that every client that works with me is going to get the perfect result? Of course not. Can I guarantee they're going to get a result? Can I guarantee they're going to feel like their life and business completely changed? I absolutely can. Like, hands down, yes. And the reason most of my clients create so much success, I think we had 15 clients create 6-figure businesses in the last year. Like, that happens because of this. That happens because of this work. That doesn't happen because I have some secret plan that I only share with people who pay me over 10K or some shit like that. Like, it's just not the thing, you guys. I cannot say that enough. It's not the thing. So the reason I'm doing this podcast is because I want to illustrate that to you. Like, this is for you from my heart, because I want to have a different conversation in this industry. So please take it as that. Please use it. Please listen to it. Please make it work for you, because I think you guys can tell, like, I just care about this like so freaking much. So know that it was entirely for you. It's entirely for this community. And I know and hope that I know it will, and I hope that it serves you deeply. So let me know if it does. Please be on our launch team. Please review, send me a message if you don't want to leave a review. Like, I just want to know that this is useful to you and serving you. So thank you guys so much for listening to that. The second thing I want to share is one of my amazing clients and just all around favorite humans, Sabrina Phillip, is doing a live stream in her group Wednesday night at 8 p.m. No, on her page, I believe. On her page, Sabrina Phillip. Wednesday night at 8 p.m. To share something really personal for her. And she is just massively successful and had such an amazing year last year, and also had the hardest year of her life. And we're going to talk through that, and I'm going to kind of be the supporter, interviewer, moderator of that conversation. And I really want you guys to join us, because I want you to see that you can go through hard stuff and create success, but you have to do it your way and on your terms. You can, you can go through really hard things and be resilient in your business. You can create really big results in your business even during the hardest times, but you got to be doing this work. So join us Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sabrina's page for that. And then lastly, I just want to say, like, if you're feeling inspired by this, if you feel like this is the support you need, if you know that you haven't, been in a position or set up for success in the way you need to be, like, reach out to me, get on a discovery call with me, let's talk. Let's really talk about what you need to get successful, what you need to go to the next level, what kind of support you truly need, because I promise it's not just another plan. And again, not that I won't give you a plan, but it's time to dive in. So if you're sitting here listening to this and being like, yeah, I took all the courses and I didn't show up for it, and I'm kind of losing trust in myself, and none of this is resonating, or maybe like I took all the courses and they got me to a certain part in my business, but I have some outward success and I don't feel successful at all. Like, I'm your girl. Reach out to me. Get on a discovery call with me. I'll share a link for you to do that. But stop staying stuck and stop telling yourself, for the love of God, pretty please, that if someone just gave you a plan, you would do it. Stop doing that, because then when you don't, you're gonna erode trust with yourself and you're gonna stop showing up. And that's the last thing I want. Like, I want more women in this world building lit up lives, creating lit up businesses, and actually thriving, because that is, in my opinion, like the thing that's going to change the world. So if you need help with that, I'm your girl. Join our launch team, listen to the podcast, and join Sabrina and I Wednesday at 8. I love you guys. I'm so thankful for you, and I will chat with you soon. Bye.